Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to yet another edition of the dceu Daily. Don't forget you can tag and follow me on Twitter at MoviesTVMad. So I woke up this morning to find out a couple of things. I want to talk about this thing about Justice League being canon and Zack Snyder's Justice League not being canon because I'm very angry and frustrated about that today. But I also want to talk about Sky having access to Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut on in the UK, because I think that's important, and I want to tell you my position about that as well. So let's talk about this situation about canon. So I woke up this morning and a bunch of my fellow Restore the Snyderverse fans were saying that Zack Snyder went on an interview somewhere. I can't find this interview, but apparently, according to my fellow fandom, Zack said that, and Warner Brothers have told him that his film will never be canon and that Justice League is canon. First of all, let's be balanced about this. It could be that they're treating Justice League as canon, but Zack Snyder's Justice League will be an Elseworld on its own and he can continue to do things. In fact, Fiona shared a Vero, I think from Zack, and I can't confirm this, saying, don't worry, we're nearly there, whatever that means. So are we close to restoring the Snyderverse? I told you the other day, I think that WB do want to restore the Snyderverse and do see a lot of money and a lot of uplift from that. But I don't understand how a studio in their right mind can turn around to a director and say a kind of crazy Frankenstein's monster version of his film is canon and his superior film, and let's face it, we don't need to see the film to say it's superior to Justice League, is not canon. This is fucking disgusting. Disgusting. Have you seen Justice League, Warner Brothers? You know, Toby Emmerich, have you actually seen it? Jason Kilar and Sarnoff, have you seen Justice League? I'm sure you've had to put yourselves through it. Thankfully, Zack hasn't, according to him anyway. But how can anyone proudly stand there to the director of a superior version of a Frankenstein's monster and say the Frankenstein's monster is canon and your film isn't canon? Seriously? Is that where we are as an industry? It's so embarrassing. It really is that you expect professional people who are trained, who go to film school, who go to business school if they're CEOs, right? Sit there and say, this embarrassment is canon. How can Justice League be canon for anything? What is it canon for? Explain to me. You are about to air on your streaming platform a 4-hour and 10-minute film, I think, right? That's clearly superior. Superior in VFX, superior in being a constructive film, right? That's edited better, that looks better, that's artistic, that's got 4 hours of a soundtrack, right? That everyone's pumped about. You are making money and gaining subscribers from it. You know that the world mostly is going to love this film, right? And you turn around and say that this film isn't canon, which you've clearly seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. How can Justice League be canon? How can it be? Is this what we're doing? Is this the way forward for Walter Hamada's DCEU? That we're going to say that Justice League is canon? Any self-respecting business people would say that fucking film is in the bin. That's what Patty Jenkins, whatever you think of Patty, whatever you think of Wonder Woman 84 and her attitudes to Wonder Woman compared to Zack's, and that's a conversation we've had many times on this channel, Patty Jenkins stood up tall and said, no DCEU director sees that fucking monster as canon. Well, she didn't say fucking and she didn't call it a monster, but she knows it's a piece of shit. And her friend Gal Gadot is allegedly, faced bullying by that director who made that Frankenstein's monster. Allegedly, of course. So Patty Jenkins, right? James Wan, David F. Sandberg, all these people. David F. Sandberg literally put Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Easter eggs in his film. That some of you slaughter that man's film. And that man did a really good family movie. I don't agree with the criticism for that film. Just because it's not dark and it's not, it's not like what Snyder does. You guys and girls talk about, freedom of creativity. But when someone like David has freedom of creativity, you put him in the bin because he didn't do what Zack did. He's allowed to tell his own truth through his own art, as Zack is, right? David F. Sandberg's a good bloke, right? He was just like you and me, an average YouTuber. Look at him now. We should be praising the success of David F. Sandberg, by the way. So no DCEU director sees that film as canon. I'll repeat, David F. Sandberg actually had Easter eggs in his film from Zack Snyder's movies. This is a joke. And I know we're getting this multiverse strategy and it's a good thing and I'm excited for it and I'm excited for Flashpoint and Aquaman 2 and Shazam Fury of the Gods and especially Black Adam. And I can't wait to see Supergirl in Flashpoint as well. I'm very excited for the future and James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. I'm very excited for everything, as you all well know. But you can't, as a studio, seriously turn around to a director that you've abused, that you've treated unfairly, let alone the timing of the way you treated him after he just lost his very own daughter. I read an article and an interview with Deb Snyder yesterday, a wonderful woman. Her and Zack are a wonderful team, so much respect. I am not worthy. But listen, you can't. And of course, Zack didn't have to repeat that conversation, but Zack's clever. I keep on telling you, Zack's a tactical genius. He's doing it on purpose. He wants us to be ferocious, he wants us to be angry, and he wants us to keep on fighting. Do you think there's anyone on the planet Earth, once they've seen Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, that's going to see Justice League as fucking canon? No, not one. Not your elite YouTubers, not your small YouTubers like me, the independents, right? And there's many of us out there, and by the way, if you find us, like us, tell everyone about us, because we're fighting to survive. While the big boys get kind of invites to the premiere event of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I don't know if I'm even going to be able to watch it legally. Think about that, because I live in this little island called Cyprus here. I'll talk about my frustrations about that in a minute. But what kind of world do we live in when a visionary director works his arse off for the fans? And he's going to make you a bunch of dough. And you tell him that piece of shit, that piece of shit you put together after you forced him off his own project, which was superior, as we all know. Without watching it, we don't need to watch it. We know. And you look him in the eye and you tell him that our shitty film is going to be canon. Now, I've always said I won't boycott anything and I love DC, but I do have my line. I have my line. That I won't, I can't sit there and watch a bunch of films that are loyal to that piece of shit. Because if you were decent people, right, you would already be greenlighting whatever DC project Zack wanted to do, and you would officially say, we are going into the multiverse strategy, and Zack is part of the Elseworld, right? And so, Zack's part of his own little world, but who knows, one day, his DCEU may cross over with the central universe. You would actually lay out your plans and tell us, and be more transparent about your plans. I don't want you to give away Flashpoint and the entire plan and future, but if you were clever people, that's what you would be doing. You'd be saying, Zack is part of our plans. He's got his own world to do. He's free to do what he wants with his DC properties. And we're all going to get on like one big happy family. But no! You turn around to him seriously and say that a piece of shit, right? Even a film school student would produce better, right? Not being condescending to film school students, because the quality of what they can do is fantastic. I've seen it. And I actually try and look at these kind of independent projects that kind of film school students do all the time, because I'm interested to see the very beginning of someone learning and being new to the game. And in fact, their work is so much more honest than what you see in Hollywood, because as we've seen from what they've done to Zach, they tamper with everyone's vision. This is why I would love to see the breakdown of Hollywood completely. I am sick and tired of that fucking system. I'm sick and tired of mainstream broadcasting. I'm sick and tired of listening to them talking about representation while they ignore Native Americans, Asian people, Indian people, and just talk about the most represented minority, which is people of colour. I think people of colour should be represented. But even people of colour themselves, they talk about their lack of representation when they're the most represented minority. I never hear them once say, what about Native Americans? What about Asians? I just hear them talking about, we want to hear black voices, right? Of course you do. And you should hear black voices, and you should see people of colour on the screen, in front and behind of the camera. As you should Native Americans, the people, the British came and stole the land from, then made a bunch of Western films that made them the villains and the white cowboy the hero. I know I've said this before, but I'm so fed up of mainstream Hollywood and mainstream broadcasting and their bullshit about representation and everyone seeing themselves. Why don't I see myself on the TV, a Greek Cypriot who was born and bred in the UK? Why? Tell me why. Because you're full of bullshit, right? So I'm sick to death. And I'm sick to death of Hollywood, and I'd love to see it crumble. And it will. If they continue going on this kind of crazy road they're going on, they will be bankrupt. And it'll be great because independent voices will be heard. Someone is going to have to pick the rubble of this shit show that is mainstream broadcasting and mainstream filmmaking in Hollywood. Hollywood's in a situation now where they're only interested in reboots and superhero movies. I love my superheroes, or I wouldn't be here today, right? But let's be honest. You need more in the film industry than just capes, and we all know that. But to actually turn around to Zack and say that Justice League is canon, I mean, talk about grabbing someone by the nutsack and squeezing them until they can't take anymore. I mean, Zack's such a cool guy to even, I don't know what my reaction would have been. If you had forced me on a project, I'm a highly skilled visionary director, and you say the piece of shit that used some of my sequences and some of the piece of shit sequences that this person shot and used, meanwhile abusing the cast and the crew at the same time because he can handle the pressure, right? And you're telling me that that film is going to be the vision we hold going forward? Come on. Who's going to support that? Nobody likes Justice League. We could say, oh, well, we like some of it. The stuff you like, even though you don't know it, is Zack stuff anyway. Who can support the future of the DCEU being canon off of Justice League? Come on. Come on now. This is insanity. How can we continue to allow Toby Emmerich to run Warner Brothers Pictures? How can we allow this to continue? Warner Media, right, and AT&T have got to drive these people out. They've given Toby Emmerich more authority. Doesn't make sense, does it? Now I understand what Ray is trying to accomplish here. A good thing. In fact, I saw Ray on Instagram yesterday so pumped because that cyborg promo was off the fucking scale, and I loved it. And I love Ray's excitement. Ray's on the right side of history, and sometimes I've kind of said, Ray, calm it down about Walter. But you know what? We can agree and we can disagree. And we can still be friends, can't we? But I think I've always been loyal to Warner Brothers and DC. And I've always said I'll stick with it because I'm excited about all the projects. But you cannot tell me that anyone watching a DCEU film is going to say, yeah, this is Justice League canon, isn't it beautiful? No, forget it. So, I don't know what Warner Brothers want and what they don't. But from the 18th of March, we will see Zack Snyder's Justice League as canon, whether Warner Brothers Pictures want us to or not. And anything else is absolute nonsense. Right, we're going to look at some Screen Rant articles, about 3 of them, and read them out. Then I will finish this episode of the DCEU Daily with a rant about Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut being on Sky and what that tragically, unfortunately, means for me. Justice League's Deathstroke nightmare design revealed. A new image from an exhibit celebrating Zack Snyder's Justice League reveals a better look at Joe Manganiello's nightmare Deathstroke design by Daniel Gillespie. A new clip from an exhibit celebrating Zack Snyder's Justice League reveals a better look at Joe Manganiello's nightmare Deathstroke design. Initially only seen in the theatrical cut in a brief post-credits scene opposite Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, Manganiello returned to shoot some extra scenes for the Snyder Cut. That's because Zack Snyder's Justice League sees Deathstroke and Batman team up in the Nightmare timeline to figure out how to make this world work, according to the director himself. Manganiello jumped at the chance to return as the character, as he is clearly passionate about bringing him to the screen. Not only did he comes up with some ideas for Deathstroke's new look, but he's also revealed he was desperate to appear as the main villain in Ben Affleck's solo Batman movie, which ended up getting cancelled after the star and director quit the role. Then came the Snyder Cut. Last November, Manganiello posted an image of Nightmare Deathstroke featuring a mohawk and a leaner look, confirming he'd appear in the HBO Max release, but the image only showed off his face. Now a new clip reveals the rest. Seen in a YouTube video by A-List Productions, a new look at the costumes comes from a Dallas, Texas exhibit called The Dreamscapes of Zack Snyder's Justice League. The video shows Manganiello in costume, sitting on a bench in the grey room used for other recent promotional images taken by Snyder on the set of the reshoots. There is also a look at the model of Deathstroke's full Nightmare costume design, which takes his traditional costume and gives it a camo combat makeover, similar to the other characters in the Nightmare sequence. Deathstroke has clearly been through a lot. You can see the video below. We're not going to look at that video. You can look at it. I think it's on YouTube anyway, so take a look at it from A-List or whatever I just said, but I don't want the video taken down or having a strike on my channel because I've showed a video. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. The different look seen here certainly teases a different type of character than the slick assassin scene in that post-credit scene, and hints at just how different the world is during the Nightmare sequence. The clip reveals Deathstroke plays a major role in the Nightmare sequence, potentially connected to the appearance of Jared Leto's Joker. 2. For fans of the character, it will go some way to making up for the disappointment of not seeing him as a full villain in the cancelled solo Affleck Batman movie. It will also be edifying for Manganiello, who has made no secret of his displeasure with not getting a bigger shot at the role. At one point, the actor had 7 different Deathstroke projects in the works, only to find none of them would come to fruition. Now, at least, he'll actually have an impact on the proceedings. That's brilliant. I'm really happy for Joe. He was actually Zack's top pick to play Kal-El, a.k.a. Clark Kent, a.k.a. Superman, in Man of Steel, but he was tied into True Blood, so he couldn't do it. Again, that would have been a casting that would have triggered me, I'll be honest. I mean, I would have, look, I trust Zack, of course I do, but that is an out-there piece of casting. He's more like an Injustice Superman more than that kind of Superman, so interesting how that would have worked out. But Henry Cavill was a much better idea as Supes, and Joe Manganiello is a much better piece of casting for Deathstroke. And I'm really, really excited to see him in Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. Jared Leto's full Joker Justice League Nightmare costume revealed. The full costume for Jared Leto's Joker in Zack Snyder's Justice League has been revealed, showing the villain's look for the Nightmare sequence by Rick Stevenson. Jared Leto's Joker is returning in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and a new video has revealed the character's full costume for the Nightmare sequence. The post-apocalyptic alternate future is one of the main new features of the Snyder Cut, having been cut down significantly in the theatrical version released in 2017. Leto's Joker was added to the Nightmare in the Snyder Cut reshoots, reprising his role from Suicide Squad and finally coming face to face with Ben Affleck's Batman. While most of the new footage in Zack Snyder's Justice League was not during the original film's production and subsequently cut by Warner Brothers and Joss Whedon, a few reshoots were conducted after the director's cut was confirmed in 2020. Jared Leto's Joker, who was not previously planned to appear in Snyder's original Justice League vision, is one of the main additions to come from those reshoots. The director has said that it was important to him that Leto and Affleck had a proper confrontation, given that both have largely left the DCEU spotlight since. It's kind of interesting to me, though, how long is the nightmare sequence in Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut? It seems to me he must have shot loads for this nightmare sequence back in 2016. So whatever he's added makes the nightmare sequence even longer. So I think we could get 20 minutes to half an hour in this sequence. Maybe. It's a 4-hour film, don't forget, so that's very plausible. Fans can now get a full look at the Joker's nightmare outfit. Video shared by A-List Productions, that's one word by the way, on YouTube. So go and check that out because I can't show them to you here. Shows the Clown Prince of Crime's post-apocalypse outfit, which is on display with other items from the film at an exhibit in Dallas, Texas. The costume's base layer looks to be the same white hospital gown shown in the previous promo images, but the nightmare version has been upgraded with combat boots and a police vest, which has numerous badges strapped to it like trophies. It's unclear exactly how substantial Leto's Justice League appearance will be. Yes, this is interesting because I remember when this was announced, but we never really knew when it started. We knew when it started, but we weren't quite sure when they finished. Now, we were told about 7 to 10 days of shoots. So let me explain to you something. In the series finale of Smallville, Michael Rosenbaum came back after 3 years to reprise his role as Lex Luthor. He only did a day of shooting and he did 2 scenes. I understand what it all takes, but I want to educate you a bit. So if Leto was there for 7 to 10 days, as Affleck would have been, as Manganiello would have been, and Amber would have been, I would think if we had 10 days worth of shooting, then you could perceivably have about 10 to 20 minutes. I think 20 minutes would be the most. I think you could have about 20 minutes of footage of him. I think it's considerable if he was there for over a week. We'll have to wait and see. But it's been a huge part of Snyder Cut's advertising campaign, like the original Justice League. Suicide Squad was subject to some significant edits before it hit theatres, and Leto's role was trimmed down notably as a result. His return seems appropriate, given that Zack Snyder's Justice League is in many ways a tribute to what many fans hoped the DCEU would be when it began with Man of Steel. Absolutely. Though there are no plans for any further Snyder-led DC content after the release of Snyder Cut, when the release of Justice League, I can't help but laugh. Some loyalists are still holding out hope. Snyder himself has revealed that his planned Justice League 2 would have been set primarily in the nightmare future, which, for me, when I think about that, is awesome. I don't know about you. Himself has would have been set primarily in the nightmare future, though those plans were scrapped years ago. The director has always drawn attention for his stark, dark visual stylings, and those are on full display in what's been shown of the new Nightmare Zack Snyder's Justice League. Releases on HBO Max on March the 18th. Yeah, so very, very interesting. And this kind of display that he's done in Dallas, Texas is interesting. Now, this is an AT&T thing. Now, actually, I remember Zach talking about this kind of convention to Grace Randolph. He had a really good chat with Grace the other day. I only checked it out a day later. It was very interesting. So he was giving us suggestions how to watch the film. So basically, if we want to watch it all, and because it's chapterized, I think he was saying, like, stop watching at chapter 4 or something like that. You can go back and watch the video. It's very informative. He then started talking about his Injustice League and who would be in it. But now he's saying he would have changed the lineup. That's interesting. So again, Zach being smart and tactically being a tactical genius, kind of telling us, this is my plans. You know it's good. You know it's exciting. Go and fight for it, guys, to us. And so he's very, very smart. He also seemed very upset that people were triggered by kind of the plans for Justice League 2 being on the boards. People calling them spoilers. Zach just said, I just wanted to do something nice. I wanted to show the fans something. And I think this is sad because the release of this film is bigger for Zack than anyone else. He's been through a lot to get the film here, to get us here, to give us the opportunity. So maybe before reacting on the internet, we should take a step back. This is a little bit more on Deathstroke's costume. Deathstroke's Justice League Nightmare costume includes Kryptonite bullets, so that's really exciting. So we're going to read this article by Cooper Hood of Screen Rant. A display for Zack Snyder's Justice League reveals Deathstroke's costume from the Nightmare future includes Kryptonite bullets in the Snyder Cut. Deathstroke's nightmare costume for Zack Snyder's Justice League includes Kryptonite bullets. Wow. Obviously, they've got to protect themselves from Nightmare Superman. The outpouring of support for the Snyder Cut over the last several years is nearing its conclusion. Zack Snyder was able to finish his 4-hour R-rated director's cut of Justice League, and fans will be able to see it in just a few weeks. Well, maybe not all of us. So I'll talk about that in a minute. In a few weeks, when he arrives on HBO Max. This is great anticipation for the Snyder Cut, as many await to see exactly how different it is from 2017's theatrical cut of Justice League. Very different. Among the many differences that Zack Snyder's Justice League contains is a visit to the nightmare future. This possible future was first teased in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice and depicted a world where Darkseid conquered Earth and enslaved Superman to be on his side. Snyder had grand plans for the Nightmare timeline, but they were left out of the movie's theatrical cut. He is fixing that with the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and he managed to add to it as well. Some additional photography from late 2020 allowed Snyder to rework the sequence, bringing Jared Leto's Joker into the mix, confirming a role for Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke beyond the film's closing moments. As part of a new exhibit in Dallas, Texas, that gives fans a detailed look at Zack Snyder's Justice League and his original plans for the rest of his 5-movie arc, the costumes for many characters in the Snyder Cut are on display. This allowed Twitter user A-List K, I think it's the same one I read out to you before, to get an up-close look at several different designs, including Deathstroke's Nightmare costume. One new detail that comes from the costume is the presence of Kryptonite bullets in his weapons. So this is interesting, isn't it? This looks good again. I don't want to show it on this video. And I'm sorry about that because they were taking pictures down last time this was done. So I've got to be careful there. But by all means, check out the account on Twitter. I'm sure you already have. The need for Kryptonite bullets in the Nightmare future is obvious, with Superman falling victim to the anti-life equation. Actually, before I read on, this is interesting because Zack was talking about Riddler. Riddler being part of the Injustice League and him actually being, used to work out the anti-life equation. You see, it's an equation. It's a maths puzzle. That's the thing. Zack goes at these things so deep. This is why I love the guy and his artistic kind of visionary flair. And so this is what he was talking to Grace Randolph on that interview with her. And it was very, very interesting. I think him doing an Injustice League would be absolutely awesome. And losing his will to Darkseid, he's one of the main components of Darkseid's role and ability to fend off, and unsurprising, since Deathstroke and Batman aren't allied in the Nightmare future, Bruce Wayne appears to have given the assassin some ammunition to aid in fighting Superman. Batman v Superman already showed Bruce forge weapons out of Kryptonite, yes? Remember, that was so awesome. Namely the spear and gas bomb. So him manufacturing bullets that could hurt or kill Superman makes sense. Even though Deathstroke will carry Kryptonite bullets in Justice League's Nightmare scene, it is not clear if he'll get a chance to use them. Snyder hasn't clarified the full scope of how the Nightmare is featured in the movie, but it will have to include some action if Deathstroke is going to use them. This could be a tease of what could be. Though, as Snyder said, the Nightmare was the main setting of Justice League 2, barring another huge surprise and Zack Snyder's Justice League getting a sequel, Deathstroke's Kryptonite bullets might not be anything more than an Easter egg. That's possible. Now, what's interesting to me is, will these bullets work with someone who's been infected by the anti-life equation? Could the anti-life equation protect Superman from Kryptonite? I have no idea. Someone out there who's read the comics and knows more about the anti-life equation can tell me about that. But these are exciting things. And really listening to Grace interview Zack yet again, and he was throwing some pearlers out there, especially about Riddler, again, he was saying this was a much different Riddler to the Riddler that we've seen. Typical Zack Snyder. He wants to give his own take on it, and why not? Quite right too. But yeah, Zack doing more is so vital and so important that we keep fighting for that. And finally today, I need to talk about how the release in the UK of Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut on March the 18th on Sky Cinema affects me. So I want you to understand, because people always say to me, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? So I want you to understand something. I live in Cyprus. Both my parents are Greek Cypriot, as my late mum was, and I was born and bred in the UK. But I live out here. But basically, I live out here like any English person would do. So basically, to be able to physically be able to watch something that you can watch in America easily. For example, Wonder Woman 84 was globally on rental, so I could rent it on Prime Video. Easy. So before I knew it was going to be on Sky, I was happy because I thought I could rent Zack Snyder's Justice League on pay-per-view as many times as I wanted, again, via Prime Video. Now, a few months ago, I was able to watch Now TV in Cyprus because they used to do a roaming deal. Now TV is basically Sky. It gives you access to Sky Cinema and all that. But since Brexit, I am not allowed to watch Now TV anymore. And so that's fucked me up. So my issue is, and I don't know this, and I've asked Prime Video, and they don't seem to be able to clarify this for me. If it's going to be on Sky Cinema, will I still be able to rent it on pay-per-view on Prime Video? I don't know. I won't know till the day. So there's a reality here, and there's nothing else I can do. I won't be able to get it on Google Play. It will not be available on this territory. And I want to watch it on a big screen, blah, 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 blah. Basically, the only way now I'll be able to watch it legally and properly is that if I'm able to pay-per-view it on Prime Video. And if that's not the case, because it's going to be on Sky Cinema in the UK, then I'm in trouble. That's it. So I don't know. I might be all right. I may still be able to rent it pay-per-view on Prime Video, but nobody seems to know. So I could be, not only we've got a bunch of lucky people who are going to watch it in a virtual premiere on March the 15th, and don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely happy for you, but obviously you're going to watch it, I'm not. And now the reality is I may not be able to watch it on March the 18th. You know, just like everybody else, I fought hard. No, I didn't go to conventions, I didn't put flags up, but I set up my channel. I've spent most of my time, a lot of my time in the past 3 or 4 years fighting for this cut. Now, I don't want badges. I don't want to meet Zack. I don't want a blue tick or anything like that. I just want to I want to physically be able to see this film on my lovely 50-inch TV and blast it out, shut the curtains, as Zack suggested with Grace Randolph yesterday. I've been pumped for this film. To think now that the reality could be that I won't be able to see this film wounds me a great deal. And I put this on HBO Max. Now, I know it's a huge task with copyright rules and the way different territories have different rules and laws. I understand it's a task. But you greenlit this film last May. So you've had, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. You've had over 10 months. You know, it's not fair. Just because Cyprus is a small island, it doesn't mean, an Anglo-Cypriot born and bred in the UK. So if I was in the UK, I'd be able to watch it. No problem now. No one's going to find out about Cyprus. They're not going to specifically, they talk about the Middle East and being, the Being Network. I don't have access to the Being Network, right? And also, this is another issue I have. So, say if you haven't got Sky in the UK, what if you can't afford it? Sky, to have the full package of Sky in the UK is about 50 to 60 to 70 sterling a month, right? Not everyone can afford that. So people say, you can get a day pass, yeah? Maybe the cost of a day pass is a meal to some people. It's not fair, right? Now, I know a day pass is probably about the same as getting it on pay-per-view or something silly like that. I understand, yes. I understand. What I'm saying is, if it's not available on pay-per-view as another choice, right, it's not fair and it's not right. So literally, it may be, and I don't know, I may be able to watch it on pay-per-view. I may only be able to watch this film illegally. That ain't right. So the reality is I may not be able to watch this film on the 18th. And who knows when I'll be able to watch this film, right? No HBO Max. It really isn't fair. Now, I am happy for all of you that you're excited that you know you're going to be able to watch this film. I'm happy for you. I genuinely am. I have no bitterness. And if you see me going on Twitter on the 18th being like really bitter and twisted, you need to ignore me. Don't react to me. Don't throw hate at me. I won't be going after individual people. But, you know, you've got to understand how I feel. Imagine last Christmas if every single person on the planet had a PS5 and an Xbox, new one, right? And I was the only one left out. That wouldn't be very nice, would it? And this is the situation. I've been so excited for this, and I will continue to fight for Zack and to continue to fight for his DC vision, because I don't know the guy, but I know how badly he wants to continue working on DC projects. I know that much. It's obvious, right? He wouldn't have come this far, he wouldn't have thought this deeply. He cares. He's a DC fan, and he wants to keep on doing this. And I want him to have, you know, the apparatus and for him physically to be able to do this. And so we're fighting. And if I had HBO Max, I'd be streaming it all day long, even when I was doing other stuff throughout the day, right? But the thought of me not being able to watch this film, I think is so unfair. And I felt really depressed last night. And I went off of Twitter and I fell asleep and I woke up and again I thought, because I've got the Now TV app, I tried it, I'm still not allowed to watch it. So this is how frustrating it is. I can go on Now TV, but they won't let me watch it. And that's the problem. And that's the issue that I have. And it's not going to change from now to March the 18th, right? And so hopefully there's a way I can watch it. I don't know how. Listen, I don't know how. So that's the reality. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it. But I think there's going to be a lot of people in different territories that won't have the avenue to watch this film. We're hearing about it's going to be available everywhere on March the 18th. Well, tell me how. How is it going to be available in Cyprus? I've Googled Cyprus. I've Googled how can I watch Zack Snyder's Justice League in Cyprus? It doesn't give me the information. And that's the problem. Not everyone is being serviced here. It's the prince and the pauper mentality, isn't it? So most people around the world, America, big country, get serviced. You know, UK, big country, right, get serviced. But a little island like Cyprus, you don't get the information because it doesn't matter. Most of you people in America won't even know where Cyprus is, right? Remember, Cyprus, not Cypress. I live in Cyprus. And so, bit depressed, frustrated, disappointed because I naively thought I'd be able to watch this film. And now I could be sitting, what am I going to do on the 18th? While everyone's talking about it. There'll be spoilers everywhere. Everyone will be doing their reactions. I'll be reading articles about other people watching the film. How is that fair? I want to pay for it. I'm happy to pay for it multiple times. I'm not trying to get away with anything. But I physically don't know a way of watching it if I can't pay-per-view it, rent it on Prime Video on March the 18th. Now, I will, of course, if you're interested, sorry about the rant, not that interesting, is it? But it is interesting to me because I fought hard for this film. I believe in Zack's vision, and I want Zack's DC vision to continue for years to come. So, I want to be able to watch that film like everyone else. I think I've earned that right. I think we've all don't need to earn the right to watch a film that's coming out. We should all be able to watch these films at the same time. And the fact that I might not be able to do that shows how backwards this industry is and how the selling laws and the copyrights are. It's absolutely pathetic. Anyway, I want you to have a great day. Or a great evening whenever you're watching this video. I want you to comment down below. I want you to like, share and subscribe. And I'll see you a bit later on because I might have by now reacted to a Steppenwolf promo. I don't know if I have or not because I don't know if it's coming. We will find out later on. And you may have even seen me reacting to the latest episode of Superman and Lois. So altogether, including this video, I'm going to be here today 3 times. Aren't you lucky? Don't get too excited. See you again soon.